Thank you again for tuning in to No Sweat English. My name is Carol Wright. I'm your teacher for the day. Today we're going to talk about the difference between present perfect and present perfect continuous tense. Before we get started, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please do so now, as well as the bell, so that every time a video comes on, you'll be notified. Let's get started. So with present perfect tense, the way that we form present perfect tense is we either have or has, depending on the subject. We use I have, you have, they have, we have, or he, she, it has, plus the past participle, the third column of the verb tense grammar chart. And the way we use it is we talk about past event or events that started in the past that still relate to the present. Again, if you've seen my video in the past about simple past versus present perfect, I talked about present perfect is about life experience, not so much focusing on the past time, but how the past experience relates to the present. Some of the common words we use with present perfect are lately, just, already, since, or for. And of course there are other words, but these are sometimes indication for you that to choose the present perfect tense. Now on the present perfect continuous tense, we have the form have or has with the same rule, plus the been, plus ing. And the usage of this is to talk about an action that started in the past that continues into the present or even into the future. Some of the common words we use with present perfect continuous often are for and since. For means how long, since means the start time, starting from the past to now or maybe into the future. Here's an example of the present perfect tense. I have eaten sushi before. Again, I'm telling my listener that I've had this experience in my life now. I have done this before. I've eaten sushi before. In terms of a chart, what it looks like is if this is past, this is present, this is the future, I have eaten sushi, meaning this is something that happened in the past. So maybe I've had sushi multiple times. We're not really sure how many times we're talking about, but that doesn't really matter because present perfect again talks about life experience. I've had this experience before now. On the other hand, I would use ing to talk about something that started in the past, continues into the present, or maybe into the future. So I would say, I have been eating lunch since 12 p.m. I know with since meaning it's a start time in the past. So in the past is 12 p.m. I've been eating lunch since 12 p.m. meaning I started at 12 p.m. I'm still eating lunch right now. Maybe I will continue to eat my lunch into the future. Who knows when I will finish? But again, that's not important. I'm just emphasizing that this ongoing action that I'm doing right now, it started in the past and I'm still doing it right now. Another example, John has finished his homework. I know that John has finished his homework sometime in the past because of the present perfect tense. What time? It's not important. I just want to let you know that John has already finished. Right now, he has no more homework. He's free to play sports or do whatever that he wants because he has already finished his homework. On the other hand, with the ing, it continues into the present or maybe into the future. Amy has been finishing her homework. So she has started finishing, this is kind of a strange phrase, in the past, almost done, almost done, almost done, almost done. Right now, still almost done. Hopefully in the future, she'll be done very quickly. Okay, so this is an ongoing activity. All right. So that's the difference between the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. Present perfect is something that has ended in the past, that is still part of the person's experience now. But present perfect continuous can mean something that started in the past that continues into the present or maybe into the future. Now in the next segment, I want to talk a little bit about how, in some cases, you can use both tenses and still be correct. So I'll be talking about that in just a little bit. Now in this segment, I'd like to talk about how sometimes present perfect and present perfect continuous can use interchangeably, meaning you can use both tenses and they'll be correct. This situation is when we talk about how long an action has happened from the past to now. that's when you can use both tenses and be correct. Okay? Again, if we're talking about how long an action has happened from the past to now, so the key words here for how long is for and since. A lot of times we can use both tenses and have the same meaning. Now let's look at the first example. I have studied for 2 years. I'm using present perfect here. I could also say I have been studying for 2 years. There will be no difference in meaning, and they're actually the same. I have studied for 2 years. I started 2 years ago. I'm still studying now. I've been studying for 2 years. I started studying 2 years ago, and I'm still studying now. Will I study into the future? Maybe, maybe not. But the focus is it started from the past and is still true now. Another example using since. She has lived here since 2010 is the same as she has been living here since 2010. So again, I'm showing you that when you talk about how long, for 2 years, since 2010, for 5 years, since 1968, when we have for how long something is happening that's still true now, we can use both tenses. Now be really careful. What are some examples where we can't use both? In the last segment, I talked about how there are examples when something's completed versus something that's ongoing. But there's another scenario when you see a choice in a fill in the blank, what to put in, whether to put in present perfect or present perfect continuous. When you have repeated actions that you can count how many times something has happened, when you think about it, if you can count something that has happened, that means it has ended at some point in the past. Therefore, we cannot use that for ing. So here, let's look at an example. I have visited the US 3 times. 1, 2, 3. These are 3 experiences that are not ongoing. I went home after my first time. I went to US, went home, came to US, went home, came to US again, and went home. So these are 3 separate ended events. Therefore, I cannot use ing. It will be wrong if it's something that's countable, how many times I've done in the past. I've been visiting the US 3 times would be a wrong sentence. I would not even know how to express that in a chart because that would not make sense or that doesn't exist. So again, if it's something that's countable, how many times you've done something, once, twice, 3, a dozen times, you will be sure to choose the present perfect tense. Whereas the ing for this case is not a choice. Well, thank you for tuning in today to my lesson with present perfect versus present perfect continuous. If you still have questions about this or you're unclear, please make sure you comment below and I'll be sure to get back to you. And I really appreciate you tuning in to No Sweat English today. Make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't, as well as the bell so that you're notified every time a video is uploaded. And don't forget to download my worksheet and the answer key down below where my blog spot is. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.